We greet your energy, dear one. We greet your energy. We have come to assist humans on their journey in your physical reality from the angelic realm. The guidance that we're going to give in this communication is going to elevate your consciousness, and it's going to allow you to connect to what you already know. Let us begin with the guidance. When humans say a prayer, there's a silent prayer, and then there's a verbal prayer. Let's give an example so you can connect to what we're giving you, dear one. We're going to give an example like this. We have a male energy, and he's driving his vehicle. And all of a sudden, the vehicle stops. And he realized in that moment that he ran out of gas. He doesn't have any gas for the vehicle. And now he's just sitting there, attempting to figure out what to do because his phone doesn't have any more battery life. So it's not like he can make a phone call. He doesn't seem to have any currency where he can do anything. He just seems to be stuck in this experience in his now moment. So what he does is he says a prayer. And this is the prayer he says, more or less. God, I have to get home. I require gas, but I have to get home. I have to get home. I have a wife. I have children. I have to get home. My wife is going to be worried because my phone is dead. I have to get home. I just require some gas. If God sends somebody to get me some gas because I have to get home. I have to take my children to school in the morning. I have to get home. I can't be stranded like this. I can't be stranded like this. So that was his prayer. So now a human comes along. And let's say this human says to his energy, looks like you're stranded. If you like, I can give you a ride where you can get home. And he says, no, thank you. Because he's waiting for someone to come that will be able to assist him with the gas. Because that was what he was praying for. So he said, no, thank you. So the human drives away. So we gave the nudge for his energy. Get out the vehicle. Don't just sit there. Get out the vehicle. So he gets out the vehicle. The next human comes along, and this human has a bike. Human says, are you okay? Is everything okay? Is everything okay with your car? It looks like you're in a situation. You can have my bike. I don't live too far. You can have my bike so you have to go home. Like, here's my bike. You can have it. You can go home. He said, no, thank you. Because he required the gas, and that's what he prayed for, and that's what he's waiting for. He said, no, thank you. So the male energy, went about his way. A little while later, another human comes. And this energy states, you look like you're going through something. I would like to help you. There's some buses that go past this way, and I have an extra bus pass. I'm going to give it to you so you can find your way home because it looks like you're stranded. Are you stranded? And he said, yes. And he said, well, yeah, take this bus pass. He said, no, thank you. Because he was waiting for the gas because that's what he prayed for. He prayed for the gas. We connect. But that's not the energy that went into the universe. The energy that went into the universe was, I have to get home. That prayer was answered. Because what happens is when you pray, then the human angels come to assist. When you pray, so when humans say, I don't need anybody, it's not quite accurate. Because when you pray, now the human angels will show up to assist. So in his mind, he connected that his prayer was, I require gas. And that was the prayer. But that's not where the energy went. The energy went into getting home. That's where the passion was. That's where the emotion was. That's where all the energy was. There wasn't really any energy in getting gas. So the silent prayer was get me home. The verbal prayer was I require gas. So when it is that you are praying, it's important to connect to what it is that you really are choosing. And it doesn't have to be a long prayer. But what is it that you really are choosing? How would you know? Because you'll feel connected to it emotionally. You'll feel connected to it, whether it brings you happiness, whether it brings you joy, whether it brings you whatever emotions are connected to it. Let's give a different example so you can really connect to this. That is not so much what you say, but it is what you feel. So let's give another example. We have a human that he says, and he's very frustrated. He says, I'm sick and tired of being at this job. I'm just sick and tired of it. And he's praying that God sends him another job. God, I'm sick and tired of this job. Just send me another job. Sick and tired of being here. They take advantage of me in this situation. They don't respect me. They don't, they don't treat me right. They don't pay me right. Nothing. So we would never give the guidance for a human to say a prayer about everything that's not going right. But that was the prayer. And his prayer was answered because not long after that, he was in the hospital where he's sick, and the medication that he was on allowed him to be very tired. So silent prayer was, I'm sick and tired. That's the silent prayer. That's where all the feeling, the emotion, the passion was in that. And that prayer was answered. All prayers are answered. Let us repeat that. All prayers are answered, however it shows up. So if a human says a prayer with doubt, fear, anxiety, that doubt, fear, and anxiety will play out. We give guidance when it is that a human is going to say a prayer. You're going to focus not on, so let's say that you're praying for a house. We're just making something up. You're praying for a house and you say, God, this one bedroom, I just really don't like it anymore. I would love to just have a 3 bedroom. It's cramped. I would love for my children to have their own room. They sleep in my room because they don't have their own room. It's just very cramped. That's just a lot of complaining, actually. It's a lot of complaining. It's not required for a prayer to be answered. So we were to give the guidance on how to pray for the home. We would say, whether you're praying to God, Yeshua, Buddha, Jah, Jehovah, Christ, God the Father, Ra, Jade Emperor, Rama, whomever you're praying to, we would give the guidance to say a prayer like this. Thank you. And we're just going to say the Creator. Thank you, Creator, for my house. I love it. It is so beautiful. I look at my bedroom. It is so big and spacious. Oh, look, my children have their own room and they are so happy. Thank you, Creator, for this. Thank you for your divine intervention. I know it's done and I'm grateful. And look at the dogs playing in the backyard. They love the house too. That's a different frequency. That's a different frequency. What you're stating is it has already happened. It has already happened and you're grateful right now. Whenever you say a prayer, whether it's verbally, silently, or through your words, your thoughts, your feelings, because those are prayers as well. So if you keep thinking over and over and over again, I don't like this job, but you're never saying it, but you just keep thinking, and I don't, and you maybe just thinking it over and over. That's a prayer. So now when the job is released and you're fired, you're devastated. Why? You kept saying you didn't like the job. Your prayer was answered. But no, I didn't mean to get fired. We connect. You kept saying you didn't like the job. You didn't say, I'm so happy to get my new job whenever the boss did something that you didn't like. You didn't stay in the vibrational frequency of, I'm excited for my new position. You stayed in the vibrational frequency of, I don't like this job. We had a human come to us in a private communication, and she didn't like her job. She didn't like her job, and she was a waitress, and she said that she didn't like it, and they were jealous of her, and that her boss didn't allow her to keep her tips, and it was just a lot of energy, and we connected to the energy, and we gave her the guidance. You're getting ready to release this job, however it plays out, based on your own energy. She said, no, but I'm not choosing to release it right now. I'm just saying I don't like it. I would like to release it at some point when I find another job. So when I find another job, I would like to release this job. Said we connect there one. So if you're choosing to stay at the job you are at, then we would give the guidance to love it. If you're not able to love it with all that you're going through, if you're not able to love it, then know that you are going to be released based on your own energy. So they released her the very next day in your illusion of time. She came right back to us in tears. But your prayer was answered. You didn't like the job. But she said, but I was choosing to wait until we connect. And if you was choosing to wait, then it would have been more beneficial to love it first. Because oftentimes when you leave an experience with any of that energy, that heavy energy, they did this to me, they did that to me, you wind up in the same situation with the next human doing the same thing. And then you choose to release that experience. But when does it show up that it's not really the experiences? It's what I have to do differently, because every word you speak is a prayer. Because everything you think is a prayer. Because everything you feel is a prayer. So in knowing that, you're conscious of your words. You're conscious of what you're connecting to, pertaining to others. Let's give some guidance. We're gonna connect you to the consultant, the human that we're speaking through. She came to us quite a bit with this energy. She seemed to be very disturbed by something that was circulating in what we would call your news. And she seemed to be very disturbed by it. And in her being very disturbed by it, she would pray that this human whom she felt did something horrendous to women, and she felt that he should be punished through the court system for what he did. So she would begin to pray that he goes to jail for what he did. We gave her the guidance. We connect to you choosing for there to be justice. We connect to that. But we wouldn't give you the guidance to pray that prayer like that. We wouldn't give you the guidance to do that. We would give the guidance to release, praying for him to go to jail, because you're not really praying from a place of love in that moment. You have a lot of emotions and you feel like he did something that he shouldn't have done. So we wouldn't have you to vibrate to it like that. And this is what we gave the consultant. But what we would have you to do is, since you're very passionate about the women in this experience, the female energies, pray that they can heal from the experience. Pray that there's justice, that the female energy receives justice. But focus on the female energy, because you're not so emotionally upset about what happened. So focus on the female energy. Focus on her having justice, that she can heal from the experience. Send her love, send her light. Focus on her and just focus on the justice. But oftentimes, this is what happens on your planet when there is injustice, and especially around, let's say, police brutality. When there's injustice, oftentimes the prayer is send him to jail, send him to jail. And we're not stating whether that human should go to jail or not. What we are having humans to focus on is don't lower your vibration. What we're having humans to focus on is the humans that had the experience with the human that committed the crime. So maybe the prayer will be, let the jury be able to see the facts. I pray that the jury can see the facts of this case so that a decision will be made where justice is served, opposed to, I pray that he goes to jail. Pray from a place of love, because oftentimes when humans are so caught up in what's taking place, and we use police brutality on purpose, because that really does affect some humans. So instead of focusing on the human that committed the crime, where sometimes it's so, you could be upset, you could be angry, you could be frustrated, we wouldn't have you to go into prayer with that energy. Only go into prayer with love, happiness, joy. That's the energy you go into prayer with. You don't go into prayer with fear, anger, frustration, annoyance. The prayers that are heard, and all prayers are heard, but what takes place after that? What takes place after that prayer, once the prayer is heard? So the prayers that are in the knowing, like how Yeshua would pray, Jesus energy, with the prayers that are in the knowing, because Yeshua, Jesus, would state, through the Father and I, you are healed before the human even arrived. Your knowing, which is connected to your crown chakra, is very powerful. So the same way you know your name, and no human can ever tell you that's not your earth name, that's what you must know when you say that prayer.